Hello, students and educators. We are so excited to have you join us for Career Exposure Week. My name is Chelsea Hunt, and I am the Executive Director of Work-Based Learning and Industry Engagement at the State Department, and I will be your moderator for this session. We will hear from our guest speaker, Jr., Joe Ephraim Jr., Engineering Project Manager at Apple Inc. And then we will have a Q&A session that I will help field any questions to Joe. This session is being recorded and will be archived within the Oklahoma Career Exposure Week online module. Also, we will send out links to those that have attended this session today to the recordings. Please join me in welcoming Joe Ephraim Jr., Engineering Project Manager at Apple Inc.
Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for having me here. I'm excited to share a little piece of Apple with you today. So I won't delay any further. I'll go ahead and jump right into it so that we can give everybody enough time to ask questions if they have any. So welcome to Apple, where we turn dreamers into doers. That's part of our credo. Essentially the statement that defines our values for our company. That's one of the lines in that. And I chose that line because, I mean, truly, since joining Apple, I do feel like I've been able to accomplish things that I never actually thought I would be able to. So let's go ahead to the next slide. Got the nice big apple. I'm sure everybody is very familiar with the apple. I feel like it's made its statement around the world globally. So, excuse me. Who are we? So, I mean, in theory, everybody should know who we are. But for those who don't or are looking for some core values of what it looks like to be a part of Apple, I'm going to go ahead and share that now. So Apple is an American multinational technology company. Started in a garage with three founders, Steve Wozniak, Steve Jobs, Robert Wayne, which, you know, Robert Wayne isn't really spoken much of, but he was kind of like the person who help them bring their vision to life. We developed electronics, computer software, online services, all that jazz. But really, we are anybody and everybody, meaning that no matter your background, no matter where you started, no matter where you are, there's a place for you at Apple, whether it's down on the ground floor in Apple retail, or even to the highest position next to Tim Cook, our CEO, in Cupertino, California. So really, Apple is made up of regular people like you and me. What do we do? So with all the fancy jargon, you know, we make devices, hardware, software, come up with certain business solutions, things of that nature. But what we really do is innovate, which I will expand on a little bit further in the presentation. But fancy word to say we create things with our imagination. That's a good way to put it. This is some of the things that everybody kind of knows that we've innovated to this day. You got computers, you got iPhone, you have Apple Watch. We'd even have a speaker, even a little speaker, HomePod Mini. And in the recent couple of months to a year, you know, we've expanded on our services. We even have a streaming platform, Apple TV. We have Apple Music. We even have arcade for those who like to game. And just recently, we delved into the fitness arena with Apple Fitness. And if you guys have not tried Apple Fitness, you should. It is awesome. Like, it is awesome. You do need an Apple Watch to do Apple Fitness, but the nice thing now is you can actually get an Apple Watch and not necessarily have an Apple phone. So just something to kind of keep in mind, okay? So I already explained that, you know, we innovate. We've created some of the most astounding products out there today. From the phone that kind of gives you a COVID exposure notification to the watch that helps you track your blood pressure, or has the heartgram to see if there's anything wrong with your heart. We have the MacBooks that have strong processors, even one that we came out with that we just made. But how do we do it? Time for another fancy word: collaboration. Yeah, what is that, right? It just sounds like a long word with a lot of syllables, but really what it means is to essentially combine your efforts with other people, whether that be directly in your group or outside of your group, and you essentially come together, you think about the issue, you come up with different solutions from different perspectives, you talk it out, you exchange the information, and then at the end, everybody kind of brings their piece of the puzzle to the table. And that's how we get such great products from our engineers and project managers. Now, the vertical and horizontal icons that are a little smaller than the ones in the corner are just a representation of the tools that we use within Apple to kind of foster that collaboration amongst people and parties. So the one to the far left is going to be Quip. So Quip is basic definition. It's Microsoft Word, but it's shared like Notes, like the Note app in an iPhone, if you do have an iPhone. So essentially, it's just Word that you can actually use to collaborate with other people. So you can write something, they can write something, they can edit something, you can edit something. The top icon is just email. As a project manager, I send way too many emails, literally way too many emails. Did not know that is what was going to be tied to the job, but it's just one of the forms of communication that we have to essentially share ideas and resolve issues. To the right, we have WebEx. So WebEx is a platform that's very similar to Zoom that you guys are all using now. We use it to do virtual meetings. You can do breakout rooms. You can play games on it. It's actually pretty cool, and then the bottom one is Slack. Slack is like corporate iMessage, basically, or just corporate SMS messaging. So essentially, it's a platform where you can create groups and you can just talk to people that way as if you're just texting them. It is an app that can be downloaded on your phone or on your iPad or on your computer. So, I mean, those are just some of the tools that we use to kind of collaborate and kind of communicate. So I kind of gave you the background about Apple. So I'm going to kind of go into my journey a little bit and how it kind of relates to this whole thing. Because you're like, here's this guy, he's just talking to me about Apple stuff. I know who Apple is. Anyway. So I'm an engineering project manager. And that's my cool emoji that I thought I would just put there to kind of, showcase our talents, but also how nice I look, or I think I look, right? So what does it mean to be an engineering project manager? Okay, so I'm gonna give you a quick journey of my start to finish. So I'm on my 4.5 years at Apple. I actually started at the retail store. So there's like 2 retail stores in Oklahoma City. I'm sure everyone knows that if they do have an Apple product. If you don't, there's only 2 stores. One at Penn Square Mall and then one in Tulsa. So start at the one in Penn Square Mall. I started off in the technical side as a technical specialist. And all that means is you come in with an issue with your device and I troubleshoot it at the very basic level. Super easy. Sorry, the job isn't super easy. What I do in theory is super easy. So I think it took me about a year before I got promoted to a technical expert. So again, all that means is I went from level 1 to level 2. I can do a little more stuff. I got a little more responsibility, meaning I got to actually repair some of these devices in the back, open them up, see how they tick. That's pretty cool. If you have not seen the inside of any of these devices, it is a wonder to behold, like honestly. So I want to say 6 months from then, I kind of did a lateral move, which means I just kind of went sideways instead of up. and I transitioned from the technical side to the product side. And so that means I kind of traded off not being able to fix devices and repair relationships and repair them to helping you make an informed decision about what you wanted to buy and the reasons why you wanted to buy it, and to make sure that it fits your daily needs. So I was in that role for about 6 months when I applied to be a project manager, and I got hired last year in January. My first job as project manager was on the watch software team. I love it, like love it, love it, love it. The watch, or wearable technology, I feel like is essentially where we're headed in the future. You know, we try to make them smaller, we try to make them more proficient, and you know, there's rumors of just things like AR glasses and like things of that nature, watches, virtual reality, augmented reality. So it was super cool to be on the watch software team and learn all about kind of how the watch runs, ticks, and how it does whatever it does. So I did that for about I did that about 8 months. And then I transitioned, again, another lateral move to a different team, which I'm on right now, which is IDMS. That is a fancy word to say identity management. What that boils down to, in the simplest sense, is anything on your device that you entrust your personal information to. So we are the system that governs things like Apple Pay, face recognition, Apple ID and password, two-factor, that code you get to verify that it's you, like that's us. When you have to reset your password, that's us. Anything that links your identity to pretty much the device. So engineering project manager, I won't even say engineering, project management. What that essentially means is I run the point, and that's a basketball reference for being the point guard. For those who don't play sports or just not into basketball, I build the bridge. And essentially what that boils down to is we come with an idea of what we would like to do, and I make the plan for it and kind of set up the goals and the objectives, milestones for that plan or project. And then I'm the one who helps with the communication between the teams of which have to be in contact in order to fulfill the project. So essentially, I'll give you an example. They decided they wanted to build a watch, so they had to get a design team involved. I mean, obviously this is, or maybe not obviously, all these teams are under Apple's umbrella. So we're not outsourcing these people, it's definitely in-house. So they wanted to develop a watch, so they had a design team, then they had a hardware team, then they had a human engineering team, human interfacing team. Then they had health, because they wanted health features. So they bugged the health team or organization for some feedback on how to do certain things. So essentially, I'm the person in the middle that connects all the people and all the things that need to get done so that we get it done in a cool, calm, and very nice manner. So that's all it boils down to, project management. Engineering project management in this sense just means I do that same thing I told you guys I do, but amongst engineers. So I just connect different engineers to different things so that we can resolve issues, so that we can actually build the thing that we want to get off the ground. These fancy words at the bottom, essentially what that means is extrapolate. I figure stuff out. So we have an issue with why we can't do something, I essentially figure it out. Or if there is an issue that's blocking one team, I go to the other team to figure out how we can unblock it for the other team. So things of that nature, how to make things simpler. If something does make sense, doesn't make sense. Innovate is literally just being creative. So once I figure stuff out, usually I try to find a simple but creative method of essentially doing that thing. And collaborate, which we've been talking about this whole time, is just communicating amongst the teams to get to a resolution. So essentially, I do tell people what to do in the basic sense. I'm like, hey, this is what we need to get done, or hey, what's up with this thing? So it's fun. It's nice. If anyone ever is like, oh, I want a job where I can just be someone's boss. I mean, technically that's what it is. But I mean, it comes with a grain of salt. You still have to be nice to people. You still have to make sure like you keep the balance between rapport and prioritizing tasks. So who do we look for to work at Apple? I'm sure you guys are probably like, oh, they probably need someone like super smart, like someone who's just got Elon Musk talent or something like that. Nah, not at all. Um, Honestly, the only things we really ever look for is personality, potential, and teachability. So the reason I guess we look for these things, but I think also the reason why it makes us so successful as a company is because their philosophy is that no matter what, if you are teachable and you have potential, then we can work with you. Personality is the only thing that essentially can't really be taught. Can't really teach personality. You just are who you are, right? So if you have essentially, I mean, and by personality, that doesn't mean like we're looking for people who smile more than other people. Nothing like that. No. It's just like how you process things, how you view things, like who is your authentic self. Like that is what we look for when we are looking for candidates to join our team. And whether you have a lot of potential or a little potential, like that really doesn't matter. The fact that you have the potential to be passionate is something that is very key to being successful in our line of work. And teachability, sometimes it's hard to learn lessons, but I guess the more comfortable you can get with being able to be corrected or expand on an opportunity will get you very far. And Apple's all about it because you spend more time learning versus trying to essentially push back or enforce what you think something is, you know, which I'm not saying no pushback with your ideas. It's more so learning so that we can expedite our processes. So that is the end of my presentation. I hope I did a fairly okay job explaining myself and Apple, and I am ready for all the questions.
Awesome, Joe. You did. And it was good to hear just the vast majority of steps that you took to advance your career right now in Apple. That was interesting to hear. And so we have some questions about your education background. So how, like what school, high school did you go to, and what career paths are, did you go to college, career tech? Tell us a little bit more about yourself. And then also, what about students? Do they have to have a high school diploma degree, a college degree to get into the same kind of field that you're in?
So those are very great questions. So I'm not native to Oklahoma. I'm from Virginia. I've lived here for about 8 years. I moved out here. I have some family out here. So at that point in my life, I just kind of needed a change of just venue and lifestyle. So let's see if I can make this super quick. I went to a high school in Virginia called Forest Park High School. I did go to college. I went to community college for 2 years, and then I went to the University of Fredericksburg for about 3 years. I didn't finish because I had some family issues come up that prevented me from continuing to go to school. What I was able to do was get some certificates in certain courses like A+ hardware and networking. I also did a lot of volunteering in the tech community. Um, my longest stint of volunteering was at my church in our IT department because we had a big church in the IT department, which I pretty much did that for about 3 years, which was cool because it kind of gave me insight into the things that I thought that I wanted to get into, and I'll expand on that in a moment. So then I never actually got a job in technology. When I was in school, I started waiting tables, and I ended up waiting tables for 10 years because I have a pretty decent personality, and I was very good at it. Very, very, very good at it. So I even transferred. My last gig was at the Cheesecake Factory. I'm sure you guys are all pretty familiar with the Cheesecake Factory. I worked there for 5 years. I even transferred from Virginia to Oklahoma and did, I think, another year or so there. It was about 2 to 3 years after that that I applied to work at Apple, and it was at the retail store. I think I got an email about a hiring event, and I at the time I loved Apple. Like, their products were just groundbreaking when they came out, and like just the concepts of how they were doing stuff was so cool. Um, Backstory: while I was in school, I did try to apply to work at Apple when I was 18. Did not get through the first interviews at all. So about, I want to say, 8 years later, no, 10 years later, I apply again and I get hired as a technical specialist. So I did that job for about a year. When I applied, Apple was my fourth job. I was working like a madman. I had 3 waiting jobs and then Apple. My reasoning, though, aside from thinking Apple was cool, it was more so about taxes and benefits. So as a full-time and part-time employee in the retail space, you get full healthcare benefits. And that is dental, that is health, that is 401k, like, and you even get stocks, part-time and full-time. The amount and the rate at which you get them differs between full-time and part-time, but nonetheless, you get them. So as part-time specialist, I was getting 32 hours and all my benefits and stuff like that. So a year later, I dropped all my jobs and actually dedicated my time to Apple because I quickly understood and learned what it meant to be in the Apple culture. Their culture is unlike any place I've ever worked, and it's more so family minded, and that's literally what it feels like. So a year later, I get promoted, and it was kind of a double promotion. And the reason I say that is because from technically from part-time to full-time, it is considered a promotion because it's like doubling in hours, which essentially doubles your pay, so to speak. But then when you go up levels, that's also a promotion. So essentially it was a dual promotion because I went from part-time to full-time and then from specialist to expert. I loved being a technical expert. I love tinkering with things. I like helping people. I like tinkering with things. So those two things definitely help me kind of navigate my career path.
Thank you for sharing that, Joe. And real quickly before we have to wrap up, just how does coding relate to Apple? Did you have to use coding in your work?
That's a great question. As an engineer, you do have to use coding. We code all the time. I don't necessarily use code, but I do use my knowledge of coding to be able to help my engineers when there's an issue or if we need to brainstorm on a solution. So it's not something that I actively use as a project manager. Project managers usually write up a lot of documents, make a lot of graphs. It's a lot of documentation and meetings. That's, I'd say, 70% of my workload. But if one of the issues that is blocking our project pertains to code, my knowledge of coding does help me in those instances. But I don't myself do a lot of coding.
Well, thank you for sharing that, Joe, and also just sharing a lot about Apple and the products and just what inspired you to get into this career path. I know it's been very good to hear that because we have a lot of students who like gaming, who like IT fields, and it's a profitable field. So thank you for taking the time to share with us today. I want to thank all of our school districts and students for attending this session and ask that you come back and join us in a quick few minutes to hear about energy careers. So again, Joe, thank you so very much. You did a wonderful job. You're getting some great shout outs in the chat. So we thank you and we hope to see you all very shortly.
Thank you, everybody. Everyone have a great day, okay?